drag the webhook action onto your storyboard. Now I've blurred out my details in the video, but if you look at the webhook action, you can see the webhook URL that Tines gives you, as well the path and the secret. The path and the secret aren't necessarily that important as they are also built into the webhook URL. Alternatively, you can also submit requests to the webhook URL with just the path, omitting the secret at the end, and you can specify the secret in your sending service and use that as a verification method in Tines, but that won't be discussed here. As for the allowed verbs, I am only concerned with post requests at this point in time, so I'll remove get. Now that we have the webhook action set up, I'm going to go ahead and copy this webhook URL, and then for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to bring in an HTTP request in Tines. This HTTP request is going to simulate a dummy payload going to this webhook action. I'm going to replace the HTTP request URL with the one I just copied from the webhook action. For the content type, I'm going to keep it as JSON, and for the method, I'm going to use post. As you can see, there's already a dummy payload set up here for the default action, and this is the payload I'm going to keep. Now, running the HTTP request action should cause an event to trigger on our webhook action. As you can see, the event was triggered. Now we can bring up the event viewer for each. For the HTTP request action, you can see that there was a status code returned of 201, and the body that was returned is status is okay. This is the default return message that the Tines webhook action will return on successful requests. On the webhook action, we can look at the events. Under the body object for the webhook action, we can see that these are the values that were set up in the dummy payload. Now that we are receiving this data in Tines, we have the ability to manipulate this data as we want. Just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to bring an event transform action onto the storyboard, link them together, and then simulate receiving and transforming this data. In the message mode key, I'm going to replace this to something that we can reference later. In this case, I'm going to change it to receive data. For the value, I'm going to go ahead and go to the webhook event and copy the path from the body and array example. Now, because I want to receive the actual data that's being sent to me instead of receiving it as text, I'm going to switch to builder mode and change the function to formula. Now that I've changed it to formula, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the webhook and re-emit the last event. Now you can see that our event transform has received the data, and the data that we received was foo and bar. If we look at the webhook action for the field that we looked at, the array example we've referenced contained foo and bar. Now whenever that webhook action receives a valid payload, it will become the trigger for starting whatever story of Tines actions you have connected to it. For example, I will go ahead and go back to the HTTP request dummy payload we have and rerun the event. As you can see, the webhook action received a new event, and then the event transform action succeeded to process a new event. If we go back to the HTTP request and change the array example to different values, we can see that this event should cause the new data to show up. And this is how you can receive data into Tines via webhook payloads, which will also give you the ability to process and manipulate this data any way you want. If you're interested in creating more projects and wanting to learn how to automate more cool things in Tines, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out my other posts.